first got into photography towards the end of the year 2012. The decision to do it wasn't anything spectacular about it. It was just something I decided to do. I mean, I've always been an admirer of photography. A lot of people don't know that. But among one of my favorite photographers are Gordon Parks, also Lamonte McLemore, who's done a lot of photography for Ebony magazine. I mean, many of their photos have been seen all over the world, and I've always been an admirer of that. I mean, I've always been fascinated by the time life photography and the photojournalism. It's kind of something, also kind of something that I kind of wanted to be as well, but I was always spending more time on the video side of everything, because that, as everyone knows by now, is my passion was getting into mainly videography and filmmaking. But, you know, photography was kind of always in the back of my mind. I mean, especially when I got into doing documentary filmmaking, particularly local documentary filmmaking of the city of Buffalo, New York. And one of the challenges that I would run into is it was always hard to really gain materials. You know, now, unlike with the Build documentary, you know, I was lucky with that because there was just an abundance of film footage, but there was very few pictures taken, you know, and I always felt that, man, if I could have had some pictures to go along with that, you know, I think it could have been even better than it was. But that's always been the challenge that I faced, because and it's kind of understandable, because, you know, a lot of times, you know, people would tell me when that stuff was going on back then, nobody at that time was really thinking towards history, and they never really had a designated person to document their work through pictures. And I'll lead into a situation that happened towards the end of 2012 with my father. He was watching National Geographic, and there was a program on that talked about the history of the presidential photographers for, you know, the presidents of the United States, going all the way back to, I think it was President Lyndon Johnson. I think he might have been the first one to really have a photographer with him, and then it carried on, you know, throughout the years. And he told me about it, and he basically ordered the DVD as well as the book, and he basically gave it to me. And it almost was like, I guess you could call it fate, because at the same time, I was thinking about, you know, buying my first actual real digital camera and kind of going into the year 2013 doing photography. You know, I wasn't going to walk away from video, but, you know, I mean, video would still be going on, but I kind of wanted to start focusing more on photography. You know, being in video now for 20 years, you know, I am looking to kind of get on that photojournalist track. So that was pretty much where it began. Well, getting into the year 2013, and I got my camera. It was a Nikon D3200, which was actually my very first camera. I went straight, forge ahead into the community, just documenting any little event that I could find in the newspaper or that was going on. I was pretty much, you know, well known in the media world, so it was pretty much cool for me to go into a lot of places and just start, you know, taking pictures and snapping away. Various community events, way too many to name. It was kind of similar to what I had done back in the early 2000s when I took a little bit of a break from TV producing. I got myself back in the community at that time and started videotaping a lot of events, so I have a lot of stuff documented from that period as well. But went into a lot of different community events. I think it was kind of new for a lot of people because everybody that knew me always expected me to videotape things, and then when they found out I was just simply taking pictures, I guess it was kind of a different reaction, a little something that they weren't used to. But yeah, one of the events I will tell you, which I anticipated greatly, was the annual Juneteenth festival. And you pretty much could say that that basically was the result of, yeah, doing that Bill documentary, as much as I hate constantly referencing that documentary series and everything that I talk about, but it did play a role nonetheless. And, it just really stemmed from looking at the old film footage and looking at some of the old photos that some of our seasoned local photographers, took at many of the early festivals. I wanted to really capture, the essence of Juneteenth. It really was not. I can't really say that it was a difficult thing for me to do. I think, growing up with it, of course. I mean, most people know the story with it, but growing up with it, being involved with it, when you have such a close connection with something, it's relatively easy to capture, the feeling, the adulation, the celebration of the event. You capture the people enjoying themselves and basking in the moment of not just the meaning of Juneteenth, because quite frankly, even to this day, not everybody knows the true meaning of what Juneteenth is. But nonetheless, it is an event in our community that a lot of people look forward to, a lot of people go to when they have a great time at. And I think because I think within recent years, it's gotten so much more involvement, particularly from young people in our communities, from some of the young adults in our community, that just the energy of the festival as it happens now, all you have to do is just lock in on something and just take a shot. I mean, it's like fish in a barrel. Almost, you can get just about any little memorable moment. And I'm talking in technical terms, I know, but I'm, just in terms of getting the shot. I mean, there's so many different shots you can get of the parade, of the vendors, of some of the musical performances, the children, the elderly, the young adults, like I said, some of the fraternities and sororities and the Masonic groups. You can capture all of these different areas of the African American community in one event, and to be a photographer on scene is I just really had a great time doing it, and I really I wanted to really not just honor the photographers of Juneteenth that came before me, but I also wanted to I did want to emulate, take a few pages out their book, but also create a few of my own as well. Without a doubt, one of the most prominent scenes, if you will, of Buffalo, New York is unquestionably its music scene. And not just throughout the year of 2013, but mainly throughout the summer of 2013, I had the opportunity to capture moments of a lot of significant music events in the city of Buffalo. Some of our longest running events have been like the Pine Grill Reunion and the Queen City Jazz Festival, the Maston District Jazz Festival and afternoons as well. Another very significant music event in Buffalo. It's still kind of new, but it's really, really coming into its own in the last couple of years has been an event called Neo Soul Tuesdays, which is put together by a group of some of Buffalo's younger musicians. And we have some dynamic, outstanding, phenomenal young musicians on the scene here in Buffalo. And Neo Soul Tuesday is one of the events that you can pretty much see all of them on any given Tuesday performing at DBGB's over in the Allentown district. And it's just a phenomenal event. I remember when they started the event. At the same time, interestingly enough, I had a radio show called Neo Soul Movement. So it's definitely been a pretty good relationship there and a pretty good connection as well. And it's a very successful event. It's very loved. It's loved by a lot of people. You can go to that event. They pack out the place every single Tuesday. It's loved by, you have younger people, you have older folks. I mean, everybody come. You have people from all races and backgrounds, and everybody just comes and they have a good time. Many of the young musicians perform. They give phenomenal performance from like 8 o'clock at night on into maybe 11, 12 midnight. But it's just another phenomenal event that really, really does a great job of showcasing a lot of young musicians in the area. I know you deserve a better man. Girl, I was a fool that never left you down, but I want you. The music of chemistry. Why would you stay right here inside the Neo Soul Movement with Doug Ruffin? It's Erykah Badu, window seat. Mixed in 80 AM WUFO. Stay close. Since the year 2000, I've been a radio personality, and what a lot of people tend not to realize that before I was on radio, I was also on TV back in the mid to late 90s. But I think nowadays I tend to get recognized a little bit more for, being on the radio, I guess. And I guess I can take that, I became a radio personality at WUFO in January of 2007. And almost from the beginning, I wound up being put in a very unique position of documenting the history of WUFO. WUFO has had a profound history within Western New York. Started in 1961, and it has been the launching pad of some of the most legendary radio personalities ever. Frankie Crocker, Jerry Bledsoe, Gary Bird. The list goes on and on and on. Many people began their careers here in Buffalo and then went on to do phenomenal things. But anyway, I became a personality there in the spring of 2007. And from the time that they celebrated their 45th anniversary, because I was there in their 45th year of existence, I found myself documenting a lot of their history and going through the archives of old newspapers and compiling it for their event. But fast forward to the year 2013, WUFO was preparing to embark on its most historic transition ever. It was preparing to move from its longtime location of 89 LaSalle Avenue to its brand new location at 143 Broadway. And I, of course, that year starting photography, I mean, what better position to have been in, because I was able to document the entire process of the move. From the preparations of the new building to the cleaning out really of the old building, and we had a very significant farewell party, a block party, where we said farewell to 89 LaSalle Avenue, which was a wonderful event. It was a wonderful turnout. I guess you could say it was a little bit emotional as well. But from there, I also was able to document the very first day that the staff went into 143 Broadway and saw the new place for the very first time.
I love you. The best staff, the best staff, the best staff. Everybody got scissors?
All right, let's do this.
Let's roll.
All right, y'all.
We can sing.
Step right up, y'all. No, I'm not going to be able to.
And then record us. Okay. All right. I'm going to do one cut so Donald could come in. I'm sorry. For Doug could go in and then film us as we come in. Okay?
All right.
So everybody.
All right.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All ready? Get ready. All right. Are you running? All right, come on, y'all. Welcome home. Welcome home.
This is the lobby.
Welcome home.
Everybody stay serious.
Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome.
This is the lobby. Everybody's all coming in here. This is Ravina. This is Ravina.
Wow. Look at you.
This is our Ravina. All new boards, all new phones, all new instant replay, so you can tape, shoot it to the production, shoot it back. We even got a cough button, so if you got a cough, hit the button, get your cough in. Okay? All new equipment, all new microphones, everything. Right?
Working at WUFO has really been one of the finest opportunities of my 20-year career. I don't think I've been in any one place where I've been able to make such a profound impact and make such a tremendous contribution. And I think that's really, even career-wise, organization-wise, whatever you want to call it, anytime you can be somewhere like that and really leave your mark on it, that's such a feather in one's cap. That really makes, when you have a passion for something, that really makes it just worthwhile to really be into, for whatever you're into. That's really what makes it worthwhile. Well, getting the shot is basically, that's a concept that's very prominent in our profession, media, videography, filmmaking, photography, and certainly it's a concept that I more than understand, not only being a videographer, but also doing a short stint as a video journalist for one of the local news stations out here. Getting the shot, it's not a difficult transition to go from a videographer to a photographer. Other than the fact that you're you're freezing a moment in time instead of capturing it, as it happens. But yeah, it's, I've been able, throughout my first year and a half at this point, I've managed to get some what they call the money shot. I've had a few money shots. I've had a few favorites here and there. I have a personal home gallery that I take all of my real favorite shots. Only the best make my personal wall. Only the best. But it doesn't I won't say it doesn't happen often. Just about every event I've managed to pull off one or two money shots. So, a little, experience helps. Well, going into the year 2014, that's been somewhat of a challenge because when after a full year of doing so much photography, and then you end up going to some of the same events, the last thing you want to do is get the same shots. So I would say that's been the biggest challenge. It kind of, when you're going out there for the first time, you got your camera, you're just snapping and firing away. Now it's like throughout this year, I've kind of been, okay, I'm taking a little bit more of my time, I'm looking for different things. I have to kind of think, I have to look through if I go to an event like the Jefferson Festival, I look at some of the shots that I took the previous year, and I try not to take those same shots. So now I kind of have to kind of conceptualize in my mind while it happens, so I can go grab something different and create some other moments. So, and not just with the Jefferson Festival, there's been other events as well. So yeah, you got to take your time a little bit and I have to conceptualize a little bit more. So that's been a challenge, but it's a welcome challenge. So we'll see what's to come.